Hello, this is Catherine, as I know I need to stop talking. Hello, lovelies, how are we? I'm fucking freezing. I'm that kind of like cold, you know when you go really clenched? I'm very clenched right now. Pointy nipples, as Jamie would say. Jamie had some weird obsession with saying the phrase pointy nipples at every opportunity. So yeah, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty certain pointy nipples would be an apt description right now. It's fucking freezing, and it was even more freezing where Beth had the choice of walk venue today. And so she elected to go to the beach. Now, we're hideously lucky that we do live incredibly near to the sea. We actually don't go there enough because it's like a 5-minute drive, which is ridiculous, right? If you'd told me when I used to live like about as far from the sea in Britain as it's possible to live, if you'd told me that I'd be too fucking lazy to get in my car and drive 5 minutes to walk on the beach, I'd have said, what a dick. And what a dick I am, because I kind of forget it's there a little bit. But anyway, this afternoon, she was very keen to go to the sea, so we got in the car. We did indeed drive. I hope that's allowed. Is that allowed? I've lost track of lockdown rules. God, if you're the police and you're listening to this and I wasn't supposed to drive 5 minutes, I'm really sorry. I promise we didn't go near anybody at all, other than a dog which seemed to want to hang out with Beth, but that was completely not my fault. But yes, hopefully I mitigated. I mean, I don't think the police are sitting around listening to podcasts to look for examples of lockdown law breaking, but hopefully that was okay. But yeah, we went to the beach, which actually wasn't as freezing as I thought it might be. I've learnt with the sea, it's a distrustful mistress. You can have like what looks like a nice, sunny, calm day, and you're like, oh, nice day to go to the beach. And you get there, and then it's like force fucking 50, and your face feels like it's going to blow off because like there's wind blowing at you from all directions. But it was actually very pleasant down by the sea. But Beth wanted to, her purpose of wanting to go and walk there specifically was she wanted to find crystals. Have you ever tried finding crystals in a stone or a pebble on a beach? Yeah, it's very fucking difficult. There aren't very many of them. And so Beth was like, it's fine, we'll sit down. So she and I dutifully sat down. She went, there's nobody else here, is there? And I said, no, how strange, it's a lovely day. And then I realised within about 30 seconds why there was nobody else sitting on the beach, because it was fucking freezing. And I'm sat there like all clenched up, like, I think we found enough crystals now, darling. And she's like, no, Mum, I need to get loads for all my friends. Oh, good, fucking excellent, marvellous. So yeah, we found crystals and then we came home, and I am, as I say, somewhat clenched, but the sky is blue and the sea is beautiful. And as I say, I don't underestimate for a moment how lucky I am to live near large bodies of water. It was very attractive out there. So, as per the title of this week's podcast, it's been a week of missing body parts, which I appreciate makes it sound much more dramatic than it is. But apparently, this is what you're supposed to do. So I was like celebrating to the kids. I was like, look, Mummy's got 500 YouTube subscribers. And they looked at me pitifully. And Jamie said KSI's got like 12 million on his second channel. I don't even know what a second channel is. So yeah, KSI, if you're listening to this and you want to like do a collab, is that the lingo? Have I got that down? Clearly, if you are KSI listening to this and you've heard me attempt to say that phrase, there's no part of you that will want to do a collab ever. But yeah, I was singing the praises of having got 500 subscribers, and yeah, my children were suitably shaming of me, and yeah, and then Beth said, Mum, you just need better titles for your videos. And Jamie looked at her witheringly and went, that's clickbait, Beth. And she went, yeah, I click on them all the time because I really want to watch them. So I guess that there's a target audience for that. But no, it has genuinely, it's not clickbait, it has genuinely been a week of missing body parts, although that does sound slightly more ominous than it actually is. So the big excitement of this week, and in lockdown, this is genuinely big excitement. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. My big toenail fell off. What the fuck? Why has my big toenail fallen off? And I don't mean like a little bit of it, like the whole fucking thing. I went to cut my toenails and I was like, oh, this one's gone quite a long way down. And then basically it fell off in my hand. And you know when your body does something and you're like one half absolutely horrified and one part like, this is so fucking grim, it's brilliant. That's completely where I was. I had to stop myself from keeping it and saving it in the manner that I've kept the children's teeth from when they fell out, their baby teeth. I was like, this is pretty cool. I could keep this and show people. What's great is that the children are both terrified, because I told them, I said, my toenail's fallen off. Do you want to have a look? because I thought, brilliant, it's like gross and exciting, and they were both appalled and were like, absolutely not. So if I need them to do anything right at the moment, I just threaten them with showing them my toe where the toenail was. It's very interesting when your toenail falls off, because I don't know what I was imagining it would look like, but maybe kind of like raw flesh or something. No, it's very neat. It just looks like a toe with no toenail on. And there's like some sad, pitiful toenail attempting to grow in its place. According to Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking, who, I hasten to add, is not a doctor, my toenail will only grow back once, i.e. I've got one chance, and if it falls off again, that's it. Is that true? Can anybody advise on that? Am I only going to have one chance at getting a toenail? I mean, you know, kind of, I suppose you don't massively need toenails, do you? It's going to look a bit weird in flip-flops, I guess, in the summer. But I think probably why it's happened is all the walking, because lockdown, what else can you do but walk? And when I did my 16-mile walk on my birthday with my dad back in October, both of my big toes went pretty much completely black, as in the toenail, not the toe itself. Otherwise that would be frostbite, and that would be far more a dire situation when it comes to losing body parts. So I assume, I did Google, and unusually, Dr. Google did not immediately inform me that I was dying, which was a pleasant improvement on any other time that I've Googled any kind of medical complaint ever. I've got a bit of a cold, death. Head hurts a bit, death. Think I've got acne, death. But no, Dr. Google didn't tell me I was dying. In fact, it said to me it was basically pretty much normal, which is probably a record for the first time Dr. Google said that ever. So I think that perhaps the pressure from my walking shoes when I was walking made them go black and then they fell off. I don't know. I mean, does this mean the other one's going to fall off? I don't know. So yeah, so I'm minus a big toenail. Obviously, it goes without saying, both children have interpreted this as walking is really bad for you. So whenever I'm like, let's go for a walk, they're like, no, don't want my toenails to fall off. So yeah, that was missing body part number one. Missing body part number two. It's not really a body part. I'm cheating on this one. So obviously, hair salons continue to be closed. And those of you who followed the blog for a long while will know I've shared quite openly my battle with hair loss. My battle, that sounds a bit dramatic, doesn't it? I didn't have much fucking hair, basically. That was it. I was not battling anything. All my hair fell out. I had no hair for a very long time until about 3 years ago when I happened upon, via an article in Heat magazine, of all places. You see, people knock Heat magazine. It's a positive mine of information, which told me some people used hair extensions for thickness as well as length. And I, long story short, looked into it, found my amazing salon and the amazing girls who I miss loads, and it's transformed my hair. Not only do hair extensions make my hair look amazing, they've also actually helped my own hair to grow back. So all that was fine and dandy until you throw in the little tiny minor issue of a global pandemic, and understandably salons have had to close. And for anybody who's not au fait with extensions, you have to go kind of every 8 weeks or so to have maintenance done, which basically means where they've grown down your hair, you have to have them taken out and moved up. And if you're me, you have to have a shitload of colour put on to hide your grey roots at the same time. Well, with maintenance appointments not able to happen, you need to effectively take your extensions out of home. You can't leave them in, or otherwise your hair will get all matted. So when I first did this last year, I was quite naive, because obviously I'm used to the girls in the salon who are brilliant and really capable, and they do it all the time. So they're like, da, 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 and it's done in like minutes. The whole head's done in like minutes when they take them out. So I kind of optimistically had sat down sort of probably a similar time of year, slightly later in the year, this time last year, and I bought myself my pliers to take them out. And I think I said on last week's podcast that the pliers, because it was going to be used for a girl activity, the pliers were coloured pink. So many things I wish to say about that stereotype that I'll leave for a different day. So I got my pliers, I got my little comb to comb the mats in the hair out, and sat down, and I was thinking, right, I'll be done in 20 minutes. 2.5 hours later, and I had to call for reinforcements because, of course, doing the hair extensions at the side is not too bad. Doing the ones at the back of your head, not a hope in hell. So I called in Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking, who, God love him, and I was like, look, it's practically DIY, there's pliers involved, and he looked at me witheringly like they're fucking pink. Anyway, he did an amazing job and got them all out, but it took us the best part of 3 hours in the end. So when the time came this morning to repeat the exercise, and I kind of brandished my pliers at him in what I hoped was like some kind of like sexually alluring way, but just had him with his head in his hands going, no, why is it time for this? But, you know, absolute credit to him. What a trooper. He came and sat and we had a nice conversation, to the point that I was almost thinking in my head, oh, it's almost like a date night, isn't it? And I was like, what the fuck, lockdown? What the fuck have you done to me that I now think that sitting with my husband while he takes hair extensions out of my hair is the equivalent of a fucking date night? So yeah, I think we improved on our time. I think we were only about 2.5 hours this time as opposed to 3 hours. It's all about the small gains. But yeah, fair play to Mr. I know I need to stop talking. He absolutely took one for the team there. I don't think in my marriage vows I referenced the fact that he was one day going to need to take out my hair extensions. But yeah, there we go. Truly couple goals. That's what we're living today. So we had that, and then obviously midweek, the big excitement. Again, lockdown genuinely is exciting when you go anywhere. We went to the dentist. Now, despite my dire predictions from last week, and indeed despite Beth the night before, obviously every time we go to the dentist we do the usual ha ha, no licking the dentist, ha ha ha. And Beth very sinisterly just kind of looked at me and then just sort of extended her tongue out of her mouth and gave me a look and then put it back again. And then later I was washing her hair in the bath and I said, haha, obviously no licking the dentist. And she said, and I really enjoyed her choice of words, she said, but Mum, sometimes my tongue just gets agitated. And I was like, oh, well, let's hope it doesn't get agitated tomorrow. But it didn't. Her tongue was well behaved. Both children were startlingly well behaved, actually, until, and I put this on the blog, until it came to the time when I was leaving to pay. Now, I have had problems with my teeth for years, and this is through a lifetime of grinding my teeth. Fellow teeth grinders, solidarity. It's shit because if you grind your teeth, what you have to do is wear like the sexiest tooth mask thing imaginable. It's like, imagine if you really, really wanted to attract somebody sexually, what you'd wear, and then imagine the total opposite of that. That is what my tooth mask is. It's not called a tooth mask, is it? Why have I made up this phraseology? It's a mouth guard. There we go. Tooth mask. What the fuck? I'm obsessed with masks. So yeah, this highly attractive mouth guard that I wear at night, but even that can't properly undo the damage. So I have real problems with my teeth. Like halfway through lockdown, just part of one of my teeth fell off, and it's a sign of how troubled my teeth are that I didn't even think it was anything abnormal. I was just like, oh, does it hurt? No, okay, good, crack on. So I had to, unsurprisingly, having not been to the dentist for over a year, I had to make a couple of follow-up appointments for them to just try and restructure the existing one. I mean, it's basically like my teeth have got subsidence. That's what it is. They need some kind of support. So maybe scaffolding. That would sort my teeth out. So I made my follow-up appointments and the children waited, and they were really good in the surgery, despite Beth fixing the dentist and the dental assistant when they said to me, we'll just do your x-rays. And they said to the kids, obviously, you've got to come out of the room with us. And Beth fixed them with this kind of death stare, like, what are you doing to my mum? But yeah, we'd not even got out the door of the dentist where they both turned on me. And when they align in attack, it's quite terrifying. They turned on me. Beth was like, well, you tell us that we should brush our teeth, and look at your teeth. You've got the worst teeth of all. You had to have surgery in there. I mean, I didn't. I had a routine x-ray, but Beth has never, ever let the facts get in the way of a good anecdote. So, yeah, they berated me the entire way home and then rushed in to tell Mr. I know I need to stop talking, because Jamie had a glowing report on his teeth, and Beth's were pretty good, bar one minor area of misbrushing. Because the thing is, I'm so hot on dental hygiene, it's so important. So it's very galling that having never, ever, ever, ever failed to brush my teeth at least twice a day, every day, it's very galling that they're now collapsing on me. So, yeah, I don't imagine I'll hear the end of that for a very long time. But nobody licked the dentist, so we will class that as a success. Although in many ways, Beth is perhaps less terrifying when licking the dentist than when she's berating me in front of a crowded waiting room. I did say to her afterwards, well done for not licking the dentist. That's a sign of our house, that is a genuine sign of success. And she said to me wistfully, oh, I did enjoy the taste of his glove. Good. Of course she did. She's fucking crackers. But yeah, so we've had the dentist, which means we're like ready for back for school. I feel like we are actually ready to go back to school, in so much as everybody's uniform miraculously still seems to fit. So that's an absolute goal. Haven't actually found any shoes of Jamie's, but I'm like, he's 13. He can either find his shoes or he can go in his slippers. I was going to say flippers. He could also go in a pair of flippers. That would be quite the look. But yeah, I kind of feel that we've got pretty much everything ready. Obviously, I'm kidding myself and deluded, and we'll get to like Monday morning and Jamie won't be able to find his bag. I mean, he's got a couple of days because he's secondary, so they are having to do the staggered return, to do the lateral flow tests and all of that. So Beth's back Monday, Jamie's back on Wednesday, but yeah, we'll find a way somehow. I think I'm probably not alone when I say I'm very, very, very ready for my children to go back to school. I love them very much. They've been total superstars, but they do need to be back in the classroom. They definitely need to get back to school. But know that, the last week of home learning, as some of you will have seen on the blog, went out with a bang. So, Jamie, he's just a legend. He is just a legend. So he had to make bread rolls. And I was really busy. I was working back to back, and my little office area is just off the kitchen. So I said to him, run me through the ingredients. He ran through them all. I said, yeah, we've got them all in. Just go and find them and do the recipe. And then, if you need any help, give us a shout. So he's in the kitchen. He's getting everything together. And he's like, margarine. And I'm like, yeah, no, we've got it. And he's like, okay. So he goes through it all. And he measures out the flour, puts the salt in. And then he goes, Mum? I said, yeah. He said, I've got to rub the margarine into the flour. And I said, yeah. He said, well, how do I do that? I said, well, it's just like a crumble, Jamie. Just use your fingertips and just rub it in, make it all crumbly. And he went, what? And just this complete sound of utter bafflement in his voice. He said, I don't understand. And I turned around. Oh, God, love him. He's brilliant. I turned around, and instead of the tub of margarine, he's holding a tangerine. And I said to him, Jamie, what are you doing? He said, I've got the margarine. I said, have you? He said, yes. I said, could it possibly be instead a tangerine? And there was just this like dawning look of, oh, on his face as he kind of looked at it and looked at me and went, oh yeah, it could be a tangerine. Oh, God, love him. I mean, to be fair, when he did find the margarine and rub it in, and he did make these rolls, and I have permission from him to share this on here. I mean, fucking hell, they were the worst fucking rolls I've ever seen. He would have been better off, I think, rubbing in a tangerine. He didn't put them to prove long enough. They hadn't gone golden at all. They were like little white bullets. They looked like snowballs. That's what they looked like, hardened snowballs. And I said, you better take a picture of that to send to your teacher, hadn't I? And he went, oh, and looked slightly concerned. I said, look on the bright side, at least you didn't make them with tangerines. But yeah, it might have been better if he'd done that. So, oh dear, God love Jamie. He's a legend. He came in just before I sat down to record this podcast. We just had our Ocado delivery dropped off, and God love Ocado. They have been amazing to us throughout the pandemic. We've been really lucky. We've had weekly deliveries from them. And he helped me getting the shopping in, and lovely Ocado driver. And then Jamie shut the door when the Ocado guy had gone, and he looked at me and he went, oops. And I said, what do you mean, oops? He said, well, I think I might accidentally a little bit have flashed the Ocado driver. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I've got my dressing gown on, haven't I? And I'm not wearing any pants. And so I think when I picked up that last bag, so if you work for Ocado and were just flashed by my son, I'm really sorry. But yeah, he's a legend. Other stuff we've been up to this week, we've got back into, so some of you might remember that back last year when lockdown started, I said to the kids, right, we're going to learn new skills, and obviously Beth's a huge football fan. We're going to go and do keepy uppies. We're going to learn to do keepy uppies. Not an exaggeration to say that when we started, none of us could do any, even Beth, because as Jamie's quite rightly pointed out, when did you ever see a World Cup winning football team stop halfway through to do keepy uppies on the pitch? You don't. So you don't really get trained to do them. So none of us could do any. Needless to say, Beth mastered it within seconds, and Jamie and I sort of plodded on a little bit more slowly. I eventually managed to do 15 keepy uppies in a row, which I still feel like I deserve some kind of trophy for. In fact, I might buy myself a trophy. Beth's effortlessly there doing like 39 in a row. Me and Jamie are looking at them, her like, how are you doing that? I mean, Jamie is something of a liability to do keepy uppies with. He's actually improved quite a lot, but he like me, we're not blessed really with coordination. And we have obviously neighbours on both sides. I mean, I just kind of had to do a public apology to my neighbours in the end and go, I'm so sorry, because pretty much every time we went in that garden, I'd be like, Jamie, don't stand near the fence. I won't stand near the fence. Don't kick the ball too hard. I won't kick the ball too hard. Seconds later, Mama ball's gone over the fence. I mean, it was like constant. So yeah, he's a little bit of a liability. But we got into a thing last year because my dad lives quite a long way away, and so he also loves football. We got into a thing where once a week we'd do a Zoom keepy uppy challenge between the four of us. It was heinously complicated because Beth made up the rules, so it was ridiculously complicated. But my dad would take his laptop and he'd go out to the back of his house where he's got kind of like a garage area and do his keepy uppies out there. And one of my favourite moments is he was obviously out there doing it, and then he got a message from some of his neighbours who'd obviously seen him out there and say, oh, we were just checking in to see if everything's okay. We saw you out there capering around next to the garages. Just this brilliant mental image of them not knowing that he was on a Zoom call to us and just thinking that he, you know, kind of 60-something guy had just decided to go and have a little caper, as they put it, with a football. So, yeah, that was nice. But yeah, we're back on the Keepy Uppy challenge. I've managed 10 in a row so far, so I'm way off my best. Obviously, Beth has effortlessly managed to hit her record and has then got bored of me and Jamie. So, yeah, we'll see how many footballs he manages to put into the neighbours' gardens. Hopefully none. I'm really sorry, neighbours. I'm really sorry. Yeah, coordination not the strong point. Not the strong point. I've been infuriated. No, that's not a strong enough word. Livid. That's Beth's word. I think is a good one. Livid. I mean, obviously the news this week that in response to the incredible, amazing work that our emergency services have done throughout the pandemic, NHS workers are going to get a 1% pay rise. What the fuck, government? What the fuck? This isn't a political podcast, but what the fuck? I think that transcends all political allegiances, right? Everybody is going, what the fuck? 1%. Fine to go out and clap for them every week. It doesn't pay the fucking bills, you knobbers. So yeah, I feel quite livid about that. I just think, you know, we've had our fair share of use of the NHS, more than our fair share of use of the NHS over the years as a family. And I just think that anybody who does that job at any time, but particularly in a pandemic with, you know, the challenges on their mental health, and there's loads of people doing amazing things, so I definitely don't want this to be a what about type thing. There's loads of brilliant key workers, and I hope that at one point or another I've vocally stood up for all of them for the amazing and incredible work that they do and continue to do. But it's such a fucking insult, isn't it? 1%. I mean, I was watching 24 Hours in A&E. It's like one of my guilty pleasures. I love a hospital programme. Now, I am not squeamish at all, but talking of missing body parts, did anybody see the episode with the man with a lawnmower cut off his toes? What the fuck? I am absolutely not squeamish. I'm really not. I can deal with all kinds of blood and bones and guts and all sorts, but fucking hell. So for those of you who are squeamish, maybe just fast forward the next minute, although I'll try not to go into too much graphic detail. But for anybody who missed it, I mean, spoiler alert, I've kind of given it away. It was a guy out mowing in the garden and the lawnmower mowed off his toes. And it's one of those things where I was kind of thinking to myself, obviously, they won't show us a close-up of the injury. Yeah, they showed us a close-up of the injury of this, I mean, you know, forget my fucking missing toenail. That was nothing compared to this mangled foot. And then sitting next to it on a little sheet of towel, 3 sad-looking little toes, which they were never able to attach. But seriously, I mean, if that's your day job, I mean, even the doctor looking at it looked slightly taken aback, like, goodness. If that's your day job and the government says, yeah, okay, you've worked flat out during this pandemic, here, have 1%, which probably in real terms isn't actually a pay increase. What the fuck? Wake up, government. God, sometimes I think I should go into politics because it makes me so cross, but I'd be fucking dreadful. But yeah, we're going to change the world somehow. I don't know how, but we will. But yes, school run obviously starts this week. So much as I'm delighted about the idea of getting the kids back to school, I genuinely cannot think of anything more painful than trying to get them out of the house every morning to get to school in time. Did anybody back in the late 80s, early 90s, did anybody watch the Krypton Factor? If you didn't, it was great. I really liked the Krypton Factor. It was basically you had sort of 4 people and there was a series of challenges. So there was an agility one and a mental one and there was a physical one and then I think there was a general knowledge one. That's what getting out of the house in the morning in my house feels like. You've like got, you know, there's like the waking up bit, so that's like the negotiations and the getting out of bed. Then you've got like the fucking scavenger hunt, finding all the missing fucking items of clothing. Then you've got the existential questions, which always come out when you're in a rush in the morning. Mum, do you think if the Titanic was on land today, you'd be able to fit a giraffe in it? What? Why? How have those? I don't understand. So there, and then we'll have that. And then there's obviously the logistical getting one child to one school on one side of town at the same time that the other child needs to be in the other school on the other side of town. Yeah, I feel a little bit like I'm in my own personal episode of the Krypton Factor every morning. Maybe that's a good idea for a TV quiz show. If you're listening to this, TV execs, you can have that from me, a gift from me to you. You are very welcome. But yeah, based on average waking time over the last however many months, feels like 20 years, of about 9 a.m. for them both, I think it's going to be a challenge. On Friday, I had an early meeting. So I went to wake Jamie up, and he has to be on a live registration call at 9 every morning. I went to wake him up 9:15, and I was like, Jamie, it took him a while to wake up. And then he kind of, his head appeared over the top of his duvet. And I said, are you awake? And he did a thumbs up. And I said, no, are you definitely awake? He said, yes. I said, will you get on that registration call for 9? Yes. Anyway, I then got on, did my call, and then had another call, was doing some work. And then Beth came downstairs. It was about 10 o'clock. And she said, is Jamie meant to be up? And I'm like, yeah, you know in cartoons when someone's face like turns purple, that was probably me. I said, what? And I said, is he not up? She went, well, I went in just now and he wasn't. I said, okay, you go and deal with the situation, Beth. You be the mature, responsible adult, because I'm just going to sit down here and lose my shit briefly. So apparently she went back upstairs and said, Jamie, it's 10 o'clock, and he thought she was tricking him. But fair play to him, he did then proactively go and apologise to his tutor for being unable to get his lazy arse out of bed. I don't think that's going to work so well as an excuse for next week, but yeah, I fear it may be a long week. But we'll get there. We'll all get there. Other achievements of my week, I'm so proud of this, and I have nobody to tell because nobody will really care, and probably none of you will care either, but I feel like at least one of you will care and be as excited about this as I am. Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking was like, you're like 30 years too late on this. I was like, I don't care. I have taught myself to do a Rubik's Cube. Yes, I've learned how to do a Rubik's Cube, as in from memory. I can now sit with a Rubik's Cube and I can solve it. I taught myself using the algorithms to do it when I got one for Christmas 2 or 3 years ago, but I always wanted to be, I think it's basically because I like showing off. I think if I look at the heart of why I wanted to do this, I'm thinking post-lockdown when I'm in like social gatherings, I'll just casually carry one around in my handbag and I'll just be like, oh, look, we'll have a stalling conversation. Watch me do a Rubik's Cube. I don't think this will happen at all, but it's a nice little fantasy for me to kid myself. So yeah, I can now do a Rubik's Cube without resorting to instructions or anything. I can just do it. It's a great and almost completely pointless and totally useless new skill to have. But hey, that's what lockdown's all about, isn't it? New skills, and that is definitely my skill. I'm much more successful at Rubik's Cubes than I am at Keepy Uppies, without a shadow of a doubt. So I think I might go off and paint my toenails, although I don't really know how to handle the missing toenail. What would you do? Would you paint the skin? Maybe I should paint the skin. Or is that weird? Is that weird to paint the skin? Is it weird that I'm thinking so much? I mean, maybe just paint the other ones, but that's going to look odd. Or put a false nail on it. I mean, you can tell it's lockdown. I've got way too much thought time to invest in the subject of my missing toenail. I feel like there's going to be regular updates on this toenail. I do genuinely promise to avoid photo evidence because, well, it's not quite as bad as the man with the lawnmower toes. And if that was you and you're happy to be listening, fucking hell, fair play to you. And yeah, ouch. But yeah, I'll do regular updates. But yeah, no photo evidence. I don't think anybody needs to see that. The last 12 months have been traumatic enough. You definitely don't want to see my mangled feet in the midst of that. I think it's going to be a funny old week because I think a bit like last week, there's a lot of mixed and very heightened emotions out there. People delighted that the kids are going back, people really scared that the kids are going back, teachers understandably concerned about going back into an environment without having been vaccinated, without any real PPE, etc. So I think, as always, the message is definitely to be kind to one another. There's no right or wrong way to feel right now. It's not wrong or sad that anybody feels a different way. You know, we're all fighting our own battles. We're all getting through this just as well as we can. So I think the key message is to be kind to, to each other, but to you as well. Don't beat yourself up for fucking up, because I'm pretty certain the moment that alarm goes off on Monday morning, I will be right in the midst of fucking up left, right and centre. And you know what? That's all right. It's okay to fuck up. I try and remind myself of that enough times that, one day I might actually believe it when I say it. But I genuinely, it is okay to fuck up. And I can pretty much guarantee, but by the time I come back next week to record next week's podcast, there will be a whole catalogue, a miscellany of fuck-ups from my household that I will be more than happy to share with you all. So yeah, look after yourselves, stay safe, have a safe week. Maybe, avoid walking. Clearly it's fucking dangerous. Hidden dangers of walking and broken toenails. I'll try not to lose any more body parts between now and next week. And yeah, stay safe, take care, look after yourselves. I'll see you next week. Take care, bye.